Galactic Reviews. This week we're going over Black Widow movie. For a brief synopsis of the Black Widow movie, it takes place right after Civil War. Black Widow, Natasha, whatever you want to call her, is going into hiding and somehow gets back involved with the Red Room, which she had escaped previously and everything, but she gets re-involved with them, finds her family, I suppose you could say, and together they try to bring down the Red Room. And that's pretty much it for the synopsis of this movie. There's not much else going on in this movie. Overall, I think I would rate this movie pretty low for a Marvel movie, in my opinion. I would have to give it probably a 7, maybe a 6.5.
It was okay-ish for a Marvel movie. There was definitely some, I don't know if I'd say propaganda because it wasn't. Actually, no, I kind of would because it was kind of leaning in towards that in some areas. But I wouldn't say it was. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna say
Not really
there
in this
was
movie.
there was some propaganda in it. It wasn't preachy at you like it was in Wonder Woman, but it was just deadpan in the face, like you could not get around it in some areas. And I'll leave that for spoiler. And that's my main gripe with this movie, which I'm glad it's not preachy like Wonder Woman 84. That
Or
kind
like
of takes
Captain
that
Marvel.
that kind yeah, or like Captain Marvel, but it kind of takes me out of a superhero esque movie in which I believe movies are supposed to like take you out of this world into a new one and take off the cares that you have of this one and bring you into a delight of a world that you will only experience in your mind, in essence. And that's a short, dimmed down version of my stupidity of how I view a movie. I would rank this a 4 or 5. It's not you'll be able to get through it. Much like Last Jedi, some parts it's just long and boring. Some parts it's just flashy stuff. Some parts actually are enjoyable. It's not completely annoying.
Wow.
I'll
I
just
gotta say, I was not
out,
expecting it to be that low.
out of 10, I'll give it a 4 or a 5. I mean, it's not the worst Marvel movie that I've seen, but it's definitely one I'm not going to see again anytime
All
soon. All right, Micah, go.
right. Look, I really enjoyed it. It's not my favorite overall, but it's definitely one that I don't know. As far as Marvel movies go, it's definitely up there for me. So I'm gonna give it a
I got a question.
8
Would
or
you put it in your?
8.5.
I got a question though. Would you put it in your top 10?
Probably top 10, maybe a little lower though. But I really did enjoy it.
We are now entering spoiler territory, so consider yourselves warned. And if you just don't care, enjoy. Micah, if you want to go into why you enjoyed this movie so much.
Okay. Number one, and I know this probably shouldn't be the most important thing, and it's not, but I really appreciated the humor. I thought it was very funny. Yelena and Red Guardian, I thought were hilarious. I already love David Harbour as it is, just because of Stranger Things, and I thought he did a great job. I thought the action was great and the choreography and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that. I also like the post-credit scene. I thought that it set everything up pretty well for what's about to come, which is exciting. I mean, yeah, that's the gist of the reason I liked it so much. I mean, I really wasn't all that bored for the most part for the whole movie. So, I mean, I liked it enough to see it twice. So,
Now, do you have any Would you say there were any problems with this movie that you can identify at all?
maybe not a problem, but I would have liked to see more about like them as kids going through the training. I feel like they kind of just skipped right over that. But that's really my only complaint, and it's not really even a complaint. So, because I feel like they might touch on that further in future projects or something.
Now that you bring it up, one of my biggest complaints was I was expecting more explanation on Budapest.
I mean,
But
you
with
got
how,
that. It was just
yes, but
poorly done, in my
I think,
opinion.
well, what I think is how they lead it up to the next movie with her hunting Hawkeye. He might explain more about Budapest. So you can have more of the story, the reason behind Budapest, which would be nice, but I kind of wanted to see more of it in this movie as her origin story of how she becomes an Avenger, which you do get to see how she becomes an Avenger is pretty much just taking down the Red Room. That was really my biggest complaint is I just wanted more of her backstory and the reason behind Budapest. You hear that so much throughout almost every single Avenger movie, but you don't get to see much of it. So I was really hoping this would elaborate more on Budapest.
I mean, that would have been great to see, especially with Hawkeye, because he's been gypped every other movie in like arc, because he had a
Which,
wonderful arc of being controlled in the first one and trying to gain back the respect of
mhm,
his colleagues with going into the next one. You never get to see that. He had somewhat of a what you got the vibes of a father, um, son and daughter kind of aspect with Quicksilver and Wanda that you never got to see in the next film. One, because Quicksilver dies in Age of Ultron, and you
still
just
kind of
never
get
get
to
to
see it.
see but very minimal. Like it's
Yeah,
very small. Whereas I would have liked to see more of an arc with that. They briefly go over
his mercenary.
his mercenary run, yeah, as Ronin in like Endgame after
hmm
he loses his family, and they kind of just gloss over that, like, oh
To
yeah,
be
just another
perfectly
family
honest,
dies.
whenever I think of Hawkeye, at least for comic book wise, I just prefer Ronin so much more. I don't know why. I
Yeah,
just like Ronin.
yeah. Well, I mean, I just would have liked to have seen that, and this would have been more to add on to his character that had already been left out. And
I mean,
to me, this
they
was a
could.
missed opportunity that they really could have done really well.
It either could be a missed opportunity, or they could just elaborate it on it so much more in the next movie.
Yeah,
We,
that's true.
it's a toss up, honestly, between that. So the next movie could be more of an origin story for how they met, the reason why he's
He
not going to
didn't.
be killed, or
Well,
they
the
could
reason
kill
why
him
he
off
didn't kill.
because,
Yeah.
or they could just kill him off because he doesn't want any more movies in the first
Well,
place for
no,
Marvel.
I think he's got to train. I think he's got to train the next Hawkeye and the next Hawkeye show, and then he's gonna get killed off.
The show could take place and then the movie,
Yeah. Well, who knows?
because
Wish that I got at least not a lot of Hawkeye. I wish I would have gotten more of it, more of, or at least some of Hawkeye. Would like to at least seen a little bit of Budapest instead of that one little scene, and that was it. Like none of
Budapest.
the fight,
yeah.
whichever it is.
One of my favorite parts was when she came in. She's like, "So what type of gun left those holes? Those were arrows."
I really would have liked to have seen that fight,
Yeah.
or at least get more than a Hawkeye voiceover for the Budapest scene before she blows up
hmm
place. Much like Micah, I like David Arbor.
Hmm.
I like his acting. He's a very good actor. He did really good in this. I like the family dynamic at the beginning, and I think that's the thing. It felt like that was the thing that kept his character going, but he kept on repeatedly getting mocked throughout this whole spiel, and it did not feel organic at all in some cases. And it felt like you were getting forced this laughter that seemed very reminiscent of what of the MCU's kind of laughter.
To be honest, when he was fighting, is it Mimic
Taskmaster.
Taskmaster?
I'm about to hurt you. I
Hey,
don't know why
look.
you messed up.
Hey, look.
Taskmaster is
I
one of
don't
my
really care
faves.
about Taskmaster.
Taskmaster.
hmm
Okay,
Just a masquerade. That's
you're
all.
dead to me.
That's all she is, really. She
Yeah,
just
she's
mimics
not really.
everything.
She's not
What a
even. She's
loser.
like.
Not a real villain.
She's
Just a
she's
coward
just
wearing a
she's
mask.
just a she's just a female cyborg. That's all she really is. Just gets
Anyways,
implants every time she needs to fight somebody new. Just all right. We're gonna
just like
upload it.
Bucky.
We're gonna upload this
Um,
USB, and then we're gonna take it out, and you are now gonna fight like everybody. You just
just think of what Cyborg could do. Anyways, that's irrelevant. I was really hoping a joke between Taskmaster and Red Guardian, especially when they were fighting and she was using the shield.
yeah.
Just a joke that Captain America was better than you.
He never really fought Captain America because he was an ice.
No, you go ahead. I haven't. I heard a theory about it, but I want to hear what you
I
have to
mean,
say.
well, I mean, you could be. I know what you're thinking about. The theory might be about Isaiah Bradley's
Mm-mm.
character in Falcon. Nope. Okay. Well, there is a theory. Well, what I thought was in the comics, some other characters took up the shield while he was frozen in ice to kind of explain the different times that he was getting still written in the thing while he was supposedly in ice. And I think one of them was like an older hero. I think it was like Spirit of 76 or something. He was like somewhat of a cowboy-esque character, and then he took up the shield mainly because he was a good friend of Steve Rogers and he respected him and knew that America, after especially still coming off of some of the stuff from World War II, they still needed to know that their hero was still alive and that the American spirit wasn't dead. Yeah, I don't know what theory you're talking about now, Micah. I thought that's the
Well,
theory I came up with.
it's just something that
That
I
there was
heard yesterday, and that it possibly was Steve Rogers in '83 or '84, because in Endgame he goes back. So I guess it would be possible if it was. I don't know. I mean, he would be much older, but if he's already reliving his life all the way, he was alive in the '80s, so it could have
No,
been him.
you have a point, but
true.
I don't know.
Wouldn't that then create another splint in the timeline, causing them to be a variant?
Well, there's the multiverse is already screwed up,
Yeah,
so
let's be
there's no
honest.
True.
telling.
It really is.
That's
I
true.
mean, you already have him frozen at ice and in ice at the same time that he's living this new life with Peggy.
And then
Yeah,
you
I
So
have
know.
then you
There's
have
so
him
many.
making out with his daughter in
yeah,
which movie was
I
it?
thought it
I
was
don't
his like
remember.
niece. I thought
No,
I thought that was his
we
like
talking about
niece.
it could
what's her
have been.
name?
Yeah,
It
Sharon.
probably
I
was
think
his niece.
that's it. I think that's.
But still, that's his niece.
I know.
He
That's
doesn't
what
know
makes it
that.
weird. No,
Yeah,
He doesn't know that, but she should.
I think it's
different
like his
Steve Rogers, I
grandniece. I don't think
guess.
it's his. I don't think it's his des. I don't think it's like niece. I think it's like his grandniece or great grandniece. I don't think it's like that direct.
It's,
But
it's still
It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
it's still bad. It's still bad. Don't get me wrong. It's still bad.
You're not
But
making this better.
Mason, you're gonna
I
get
know.
canceled.
I'm not making. I know I'm not making it better. I'm just
It's
correcting
bad.
it for the record.
They're still blood related by at least like
And
2 generations.
this had very much the same vibes as Captain America: Winter Soldier. It had very much the same kind of aspects to it.
Oh, I see what you
Brainwashed
mean.
buddy, um, brainwashed friend, I guess. The only difference was this one you really didn't know the other character that well, so you couldn't really feel that disappointment of losing that
Well,
friend and then trying to gain him back, much like you did in Captain America.
that in
And also this one, it was kind of like shoved in your face that, oh yeah, it's a female. It's like it looks like a dude the whole freaking time. Even then when she takes off the mask, it looks like a dude just with a CGI'd, with her head just CGI'd on the top.
I would
And
have to
it's
relook at it because it didn't look like that to me.
no, it looked like that in different scenes. In some scenes, yes, I'll give it to you. Granted, it looked like she was wearing the suit, but in other scenes, you could definitely tell it was the
I
stun
would have
guy
to
wearing the
rewatch.
suit.
I wasn't paying attention. That difficult. I
Like,
don't know. And then character development in this movie, you had everyone but Black Widow have
yeah,
character
essentially.
development.
Well, I mean, it really couldn't
They
yeah.
couldn't really do anything with her
Well,
to
yeah,
make it
because she
relevant
still got to
for
go
the
into,
because it's in between. If
yeah,
this movie came out earlier, I think it would have been better.
yeah. Well,
I
also
just think
that,
she's
and
already been developed. You know, like in other movies, she's already been developed. Like in Endgame,
yeah,
Exactly.
especially.
like she can't
So there's
really
not.
get any further.
Yeah,
Yeah, like she's,
Exactly.
and
So
this
if
is
this
going
movie
into
came out
Infinity War.
earlier, if this
yeah.
movie came out earlier and they could build her character a bit more, I think it would have been better.
So I did not like how they did Taskmaster. I thought it was actually going to be like Tony Masters, like it's the mercenary guy who's the big boss that he's working for. Because if he's getting hired, then it's somebody that's really big. Thought the floating island was kind of just
Out there.
it's been done before. Yeah, it's just out there. It's been done before. It's been done with the Inhumans. It's been done with
Sky
it's
High.
been yeah,
been
pretty
done with
much
just
Sky High.
everything.
It's been done in everything. So just to see it was like, okay, this is like you would think like, oh yeah, a helicarrier would see that, just or something, but
I
like
mean,
nobody's seen it, and it's been you assume at least 20 years since she's blown it up because the Taskmaster lady's full grown. And if that's not the case, then I don't know what the heck's going on with the age, with the timeline age thing, because it's all skewered anyway.
I don't
So
know. How old? What was the year difference between when she blew it up to the time
I
of
don't
the
remember. It's just got it. She's at least, the girl in the Taskmaster suit is at the latest 20, but I know the actress is at least Nat Scarlett Johansson's age. So I mean, it's
I
kind of
mean,
weird, but just
theoretically, she if
it is what it is at this point.
because the girl looked like she was what, six,
I w-
7 years old when she died, or was
yeah,
blown up,
I'm being
whatever.
gracious and gonna go ahead and say 10, but even then, it's
I
still
mean,
iffy on the timeline.
yeah,
But
That's also a problem I have.
that's being
I don't.
gracious.
yeah.
How did she survive that? I just don't
And
understand.
then
And even that, only half of her
and,
face is
and
burned.
Exactly.
even then, the only another problem with this movie is the boss guy that she's that her father or whatever. He never got damaged, or at least not to any of your knowledge. He was never damaged by
Yeah,
that explosion, but he was reportedly in that building.
yeah.
So I mean,
And you can't even blame
this
it on what is it, the pheromones or something like that. You can't even blame it on that
It's not
because
that one.
wait,
He
what? It's
wasn't.
not that.
I don't think she was the one that even detonated. Anyways,
Oh no, you're right. So it
second,
wouldn't
no,
matter.
it would be she has to be close enough to smell it.
yeah, no, it wouldn't have even mattered. Yeah, that was the whole reason for her breaking her, which is you can't cut off the nerve by
Not with
breaking your
one hit.
nose, but not with one, not with one like that. And then she kept on calling him a wimp because some of this stuff was just stupid. When like she's like trying to get him to break her nose
Yeah.
for her, so that way she doesn't have to do it all by herself or whatever. Well,
Tyson,
no, like
if you had to break your nose, would you rather someone just punch you in the face and break your nose, or would you want to do it to
I
yourself?
know, but my problem is that he wasn't smart enough to realize what she was trying to do.
Yeah, I could see
That's
that.
my problem with it, because he's supposed to be this mega mind guy. Like, my problem isn't so much that she tried tricking him. I get that, but my problem was that he's supposed to be this mega mind guy who's got the brains for this whole outfit, and he can't figure out that she's trying to get him to break her nose for her, so that way she can't smell the pheromones that are basically his only help for him not dying. To me, that's kind of dumb.
Another problem I had was you have pretty much everyone in the red room now kind of freelancers. Where were they in Endgame?
Going to live their best life. I don't know. It's stuff like that that
That
make it like an
well, that
inconsistency
and
that just
I would have also expected Scarlett Johansson to mention Hawkeye to her sister, as because technically that was her second family before the Avengers.
oh yeah, you would think so. But they brush him over so much already. I
They
mean,
did.
this was just
They do.
expected. Another thing is, I wish Red Guardian would have just stayed.
He was more just
I love the
creepy too.
actor. He just kept on going. He went from caring father to being insane inmate, and then trying to go back into being a caring father, and yet kept on being the butt of every joke afterwards. And I was trying to just hope that the guy would pick a lane at some point. Which I know David Arbor is a great. He's a good actor. I liked him in Stranger. I liked his acting in Stranger Things. At least in season one, I think that's some of his best acting that I've seen him do. It seemed like it was trying really hard to show you the family dynamic that it showed you in the first 15 minutes after they got the whole group back together, and it just was not going to work out. And it made you think, why are you trying to do this, bring this back in? And also, why did you show it to us in the first place? Because we're never going to see that again. I mean, you're either trying to build these characters up or just trying to bring them back together. Don't try to do a little bit of both, because it didn't really work out well in this film in a sense. Yeah, well, the parents try to be caring parents, but one of them, but the mom, one is trying to is almost basically making a pig suffocate himself at the dinner table.
He has 11 seconds more. He'll be fine.
She's apparently the brains of this operation, and yet she still goes scot free, not having any punishment for what she's done to all the young girls that have been in the Red Room. So I mean,
Hey, she turned over a new leaf.
well, yeah, and her character
This
really
ties
doesn't
into
change
no
at
other
her,
movie.
yeah, and also that her character doesn't really change at all from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. Her character kind of remains constant, whereas Alexi's character is almost sporadically everywhere. Which the one thing I did like was that they kind of made a nod towards Alexi being, when Alexi is the Red Guardian, he was technically married to Natasha Romanoff in the comics, the original the Black Widow in the comics. And since she defected from Russia and went over to the Avengers, he's been going back over and trying to get her back to pay for crimes in Russia. And there's kind of that back and forth dynamic going in between them in the comics now. They kind of made a nod to it with him being somewhat like married to the older Black Widow, I guess. Melina, I believe is her name. I mean, there's just some inconsistencies that bother me. And I get you don't need to be perfect to be a good movie and to be an enjoyable movie. My problem is when you have so many of these things, and then when you're also preachy about how every guy in the movie that is portrayed is kind of acting stupid, or you never have a good portrayal except maybe the fixer, which I find kind of dumb because it's Black Widow. She really doesn't need a fixer.
Nah, she needs a fixer when she's hiding.
It's Natasha Romanoff. She's a spy. She doesn't need a fixer. I'm saying there's problems with this thing, and I'm not getting much of anywhere.
I hear it.
Well, I'm either getting made fun of or just not taken seriously, and I'm fine with that. But
No, I'm hearing you.
It
I
well
just
it's
I know
just
how you feel on these
with the
things. So the
but
ending when everyone leaves and it's just Natasha standing there and then the whole convoy of
yeah.
cars rolls through. What happens? How does she get out of that?
I have no idea because she's next thing we see with her is in Infinity War is
It's
when she
Yeah.
shows up with Steve Rogers.
it's
I
got to
just
be
don't
tornado
understand how she
or
escaped that.
something.
No, it doesn't really explain any of that. I guess it was meant to be a cliffhanger, I guess. Well, no,
No.
she gets away from it because you see her in the next scene
Yeah.
kicking the guy that's kicking her fixer while he's on the ground, while he's sitting there saying, I have more clients than you, and I also have to go through 3 different time zones just to talk to you, and keeps on
It's five
complaining about his
actually.
life. But then he says, hey, look what I can get you with a little bit of time and effort and with like some money from your boyfriend, Tony Stark. So
Actually, no
which
money.
is yeah,
No
I know
money.
that's the weird thing. I find that weird that Tony Stark doesn't pay any of his people. Like you would think he would pay. He's rich enough; he could pay the Avengers something, but
Well,
nothing. Like that might
well,
explain why
well, that
Falcon needed a
she's
loan from the
at,
bank. You know,
at
just
this at this point she's technically not even an Avenger.
true.
So,
I know, but like she didn't get anything from beforehand when she
well,
was
she did
full
she
fledged.
did say put it on her tab, so we don't know.
I know, but I think that was something that he owed her for saving his life because he said it's
Could be.
getting kind of steep and you're starting to catch up with it. You know,
Could be.
so I mean, it really doesn't say. It just leaves it up for your own
I know
conclusion. So
there's
I
a
mean,
lot of interpretation in this movie.
I
yeah,
didn't know if it was just
oh,
me that
which
didn't understand it, but now I see that it's just on them.
I think
Yeah.
that's just. I think to me that seems like more like lazy writing. Like, hey, we got this situation. Let's just leave it. You know, just she gets out of it. We're
She'll
not going to
she'll
explain
get
it. You know, just it's like
I
Budapest with
was
Clint. You know, it's there. It's there. We're just not going to explain. We're going to leave that for somebody
and then
else. You know, just
and then they hint at it in the when she gets into the trail the RV and she has hair the hair color.
yeah. I mean, they hint at
They hint
it going into Infinity War.
and I'm like I was expecting at least her to change her color, her hair color in the middle of the movie or something.
Yeah,
But
no, that'd be too easy. That would mean writing. They actually have said like Kevin Feige, I believe, has already said like they didn't really have a plan for this phase,
they
You know what
had
that
to
sounds
and they're
like?
just what
because they
Sounds
don't have
like
a
the
Stan Lee.
sequels of Star Wars.
I think Infinity War is the
I
best
agree.
movie, like Avengers movie, hands down. I
You
think
disappoint me,
Endgame
Pacey.
is why? What?
You disappoint me.
How do I disappoint you?
Obviously, the last three Star Wars movies are my favorite. If you say Endgame is your favorite, those are my favorite movies.
Endgame's not my. I said Endgame. I said Infinity War is my favorite. I didn't
Oh,
say Endgame.
no, you said Endgame. Don't lie to me.
I said Infinity
I,
War.
I will say I did hear Infinity War.
We're speculating on whether or not it was a good movie or not.
It's an okay movie. It's one where like if you watch it, you're probably not gonna ever want to see it. You're not ever gonna see it again. And it's one where it can be a one and done. And some people will vary. Like Micah, he liked it. He wanted to go see it again just to get more of a ambiance of it. And also that, and I know you have a free movie pass thing, and you basically get any movie free.
Yeah, well, I also just wanted to see it in 4DX. That
That's also a
that was
good
my
reason.
main reason to go see it again. I wasn't really going to see it a second
Honestly,
time.
Anybody else got any like good things that they got about 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 the movie? I think the cinematography and the score always seem great with Marvel movies, and that's one
yes.
thing that they really not have that they really have not let down. Another problem
Well,
that's
it
small,
was it was another thing of he has this whole army that can topple empires,
yeah,
but he never uses it in the whole duration of
yeah,
Marvel.
yeah. I mean, and he's supposed to be this evil guy, whereas Nick Fury also has that same power, but he's seen as the overseer in the fact that he's trying to protect the Earth from a bigger threat that may come from like outer space and stuff.
Kind
Maybe
of
he didn't
lied
release
in that
them
movie.
because he knew. I mean, if you put all the Black Widows up against even some of the Avengers, it's not going to go well. Even
I mean,
just Thor.
yeah,
What?
true. They even said like, why can't you get any like real Avenger to come in and do the work? I believe Kevin Feige said that was the reason in an interview that there was no like male Avenger in the no original male Avenger in the Black Widow movie was because she doesn't need a man, I think is what it was. I'm not sure,
Which
but it
even in
was
the
very
comic books, they kind of pushed that idea.
yeah, but she still had Clint, and Clint was always around to help her
Yes.
out of a situation. It wasn't like she was on her own, which it made her seem like she was completely on her own, and she had to go back to relying on a old family that had been ripped apart
Well,
and was almost impossible to put back together again.
at this point in a nutshell, she kind of was with how they wrote it out.
True, but at least she still had Clint, which is something that they really did not use at all, which would have been really beneficial because
Did they?
Clint really did not care. Black Widow and Hawkeye have always been like an intertwining thing. They haven't always
Well, then
been.
again, no.
They've never been
He was
together,
under
but they've
house
always
arrest,
been.
wasn't
Huh?
he? He was under house arrest, wasn't he? He couldn't leave. He couldn't do
Yeah,
anything
but it's Clint. Do you really think he's gonna obey that thing? He'll
for the
find a way out
protection
of
of
it.
his actual
Okay, if
family. Yes.
so,
Even
so would
Ant-Man didn't.
so would Scott Lang. If Scott Lang is not gonna do it, what makes you think Clint is?
Okay. First off, he was abducted.
It's still Clint. Like, I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's if
No, I
Scott
know,
Lang's
and I know
gonna do
what
it,
you're
what makes
saying.
you think? What makes you think Clint Barton, the guy who is one of the most deadly accurate person in the world, that did not go through a red room? You
Well,
know,
the thing is, he even said it in one of the movies. He doesn't care what he has to do. He's not going to leave and break the house arrest because he doesn't want to ruin his family's life.
I
So
know, but if it's
they already pretty much covered that base and covered
yeah, but
that.
true. But Natasha is also part of his family as well, and you can see that when they go in Age of
Yes,
Ultron over to
but
his family's
even
house, and they've all
even
known that.
yeah, but the thing is, even she wouldn't want to ruin be, his chance at living a happy life with his family.
Yeah, but she
So it
he's
goes back and
always on.
forth.
Yeah, but he's always on. Like that's the thing.
He
It can
would
go either
probably
way,
do it.
but he
He
would
would
probably
probably
still
do it,
do it, and he'd
but
probably still get away with it, and
it
it
would
would
be the
probably
fact of
be easy.
whether or not she calls.
Yeah, that could be it, but
For the
then
Uh,
again, they don't even touch it. That's my problem. Is they don't even touch it, which would have been a great.
well, they don't really mention him at all, and that's why he has a bounty on his head pretty much.
Another problem is, uh, they also. I don't know why they thought that a Red Guardian was just going to be as fast and quick as he was when he was like 20, when he's obviously like another problem that I have with this thing is that face mask thingy where they
Oh
tear
yeah,
off the
yeah.
face. It was great in Winter Soldier. Here it seems more like an out of like a bad situation. It's just there was some things where they were just off the mark and they felt like they were deliberately going that route. We're like, oh yeah, we're subverting your expectations when everybody kind of already suspected with Kevin Feige's whole spiel about going more in the woke direction already. So I mean, it was expected. Oh yeah, they're gonna ruin Taskmaster, and it was expected. It was they were gonna do the thing that they did in Solo with the character who they had been fighting the whole time turned out to be this like girl for whatever. Like, you remember that scene where they did the whole unmasking thing?
Hmm.
They basically did that same scene here. Just it was supposed to have a little bit more gravitas because it was the apparently the girl that she felt guilty about killing. However, you never saw that in the acting. You never saw that. It's just they could have done this so
Well, she went
much.
back to
To me,
save her at least, so that's something.
yeah. What was that? What's his face in Incredibles? You were too late. 15 years too late. Like it's just like that's a great line for that moment because you literally were 15 years too late. You decided too long, took you this long to care.
I
Like
will
this,
say
it's
another
so
critique that I have that I just thought about is the way that the main guy died. What was his name?
Draco, I believe,
Yeah,
or Dracov or
I think
something.
I think that could have been way better than just an explosion in a
Yeah, I
in a
think that could have been way
helicopter.
better.
Well, he's already survived an explosion. What's not to say
Yeah,
he survives another one?
I wish
Well,
Natasha
also
had been able to kill him, but
at
Yeah.
this point, I can't do anything about it except tell you why I don't like it and then let you decide for yourself because it's America. I'm allowed to have an opinion as
For
far
now.
as for now, yeah, for now. Who knows? Things are changing. This has been our review of the movie Black Widow. Join us next time for our review on Space Jam: A New Legacy, and we will see you next time on Galactic Reviews.